Hey everybody, this is Jim Moynagh, and today we have another installment of a series that I call, what do I call it? Listening to Jim Moynagh, or no, this is what it's called, because this is only the second one I did, and the first one I did like 5 months ago, so that's why I'm having trouble remembering the name of this series. But anyways, it's called Falling Asleep to Jim Moynagh Reading Vintage Fishing Magazines. So today's old-time fishing magazine is once again Bassmaster Magazine. And I don't know if you can see the date there. May, June 1976, our bicentennial year. I was 11. I was 11 years old. Now I'm 56. So, quite the, we'll see. Now, hey, this is important. Now, when I'm reading this, I'm going to maybe poke some fun, maybe going to laugh a little bit and giggle by what I read. And I totally understand that this is like really old stuff. So, since 1976, obviously, there's been a lot of developments in fishing, and what we know now, they didn't know then. So this is out of no disrespect to the authors here in this magazine. But what we're going to do is we're going to read one article, and I'm just going to let's just read the cover, because I haven't looked inside this magazine yet. I've only looked at the cover. So what we have here is... it says, in this issue, and by all means, make yourself comfortable, because get ready to fall asleep. In this issue, this first headline is just hilarious to me. In this issue, try structure fishing from shore. Okay. Now, I'm really wondering what that's all about, because in today's world of bass fishing, when we think of structured fishing, we've got, as a professional fisherman, we got like 3 or 4 graphs going, and we're idling up and down the lake trying to look for changes in the bottom, hard spot, rock piles, drop-offs, brush piles, and so on. So, and that's like the image you get in today's world, but structure fishing from shore, that's a whole nother ballgame. So I'm wondering what that's all about. The next one, it says, payoff tactics for stream lunkers. So that one, I'm not that excited about. Although, I'm sure it's a good read. And then then they got one here. Oh, God. I would love to have the Johnston brothers or Gussie chime in on this one, because the bullet point is, go north, Bassman, a compact guide to bassing in Canada. So, back in 1976, how many bass fishermen did they even have in Canada? They're probably still putting the knife to them. Well, they probably still are to some degree, but I guess what I'm getting at is, there's probably like 10 bass fishermen in Canada in 1976, let alone, there probably wasn't even 10 bass boats in Canada in 1976. So that could, boy, I'd love to have Gussie or the Johnson brothers chime in on this one. So anyway, let's go to the main table of contents and just give a quick... Okay, first we got the how the experts do it features. Payoff tactics for stream lunkers. A bronzeback baker's dozen. Interesting. Obviously that has to do with smallmouth. Do the bump for Santee bass. Apparently that's not what I was doing when I was there last year or 2 years ago or whenever it was. Silent stock for big bass. Yeah, nothing's changed there. Homemade spinnerbaits are a snap. Yes, they are. Okay, then we got some where to go reports. Fishing Pennsylvania's prime bassin. Discover California's Delta bass. Tim's Ford, new bassin link in the TVA chain. And Go North Bassman. That's the Canada one. Other features. The Capone Curse. Has it harmed bass fishing? Jeez. Okay, I got to read the small print on that one. It is ironic in this bicentennial year that the famed James River and tributaries have been cursed. The Capone Curse. Interesting. A country boy samples bass tourney fishing. Crappie jig tactics win for rookie pro. Crappie jig tactic wins for rookie pro. A first-time pro, that's in quotes, nets $14,850 in the Florida Bass Invitational. Using some crappie tactics. Structure fishing from shore. What in the world could that be? Viewpoint on bass fishing. Yeah, there's so many goodies in here. Bassman of the... Oh my God, Bassman of the future. Because we are the future now. Oh my God, I have to... Okay, this one says, young Bassmasters go to school to learn fishing in Georgia. Wow. Georgia's ahead of it. So that's about a school for kids or something. So that's maybe not as exciting as what I thought. Herring Charlie and the Secret of the Swamp. Now, for those of you who don't know, because they don't do Herring Charlie anymore, but that was like a comic, not really a comic section, but it was a fictional story, a recurring story every issue in Bassmaster, where the fictional carries Herring Charlie were a member of like the Swamp Busters Bass Club or something like that. And I think it was in Florida. And they're always off on crazy bass fishing adventures. I always got a kick out of it. Even now I would. Unfortunately, I think Don Worth was the author, and then the other guy, the illustrator. Sorry, I don't remember the illustrator's name. I'm pretty sure it was Don Worth was the author, though. But yeah. Anyways, we got. That's pretty much it. So out of those, gosh, I'm already like 10 minutes into this video and I haven't even gotten past 2 pages. So what should we read here? Geez, there's so many. So I guess Go North Bassman. I don't know. I want to know what the crappie jig tactic wins for rookie pro. I want to know what that's all about. So we'll find out who the pro was back at that time. Could it be, gosh, I don't know. Could it be any of the legends that we know? Rick Hahn, Roland Martin. Could it be Larry Nixon? I don't know. This could even be before Larry Nixon's time. Who knows? So let's go to that one. That's page 52. There. Okay. Yeah. By the way, if you've never seen a fishing reel with an automatic transmission, there it is, right there. See, there's the ad. Play for keepers with Johnson reels. I can't read it backwards. Exclusive automatic transmission. So there it is. Heck, that's probably worth money nowadays. Who knows? So what page did I say? 52. This is just a gem, these old magazines. I'm so glad these didn't get thrown away. These are my dad's. All right, crappie jig tactic wins for rookie pro. Holy cow. I bet that's I don't even know, but I bet that's Rodman Reservoir back in the day. It doesn't look anything like that anymore, I'm sure. But see how swampy it is and the old flooded dead trees. My guess is Rodman Reservoir. We will find out. Okay, well, here we go. Manuel Spencer won 14th. Manuel Spencer. Don't know him. Congratulations, Manuel. Won 14,850 in his first try at Cast for Cash bass fishing competition. Quote, I've always been able to catch a few bass, but I only hope to get my $250 entry fee back. Oh my God, $250 entry fee. Oh my God. That's like the holy grail. No entry fee is the holy grail. This is, which MLF had going there for the first year. Then COVID hit. Okay, normally that's enough to make a good fish story, but this Florida Bassmaster antics are many-sided. All right, Manuel Spencer, let's see if I can't learn something from 1976. Well, first, let me give you a picture of Manuel. Here's the caption. It was a happy moment for rookie pro Manuel Spencer and his wife at the 1976 Florida Invitational. His $14,850 payday made more than his year's wages as a paper mill employee in Palatka, Florida. So there we got Manuel with no, wow, he's got no, let's just take a look. This is just so cool. See, there he is. And gosh, I hope most of you know who the guy in the cowboy hat is. That's the one and only Ray Scott, founder of Bassmaster. So that's pretty cool. But look at that. Look at how, you know what stands out to me so much about that? The guy has no logos on any of his clothing. That is just, man, have times changed. Ah, this recliner's comfy. I hope you're getting comfortable too. Okay. Okay, here we go. Starting with the article. God, let's see how long this is. Okay, continued on page 110. So it's 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be 3 pages. So let's see if you guys can fall asleep in three pages worth. Can a 52-year-old rookie pro tournament angler find happiness on the $400,000 bass tournament trail? Ask Manuel Spencer of Palatka, Florida, that question. He won $14,850 in his first try at Cast for Cash angling in the 1976 Florida Invitational Bass Tournament on the St. Johns River. That's the St. Johns River? Well, I've never been. Actually, believe it or not, I've never been to the St. Johns River. But, boy, I never imagined it looked like that. They must have flooded that then or something. I don't know. Anyways, here we go. Now we're, okay. Quote, that's more money than I'll make this year at my regular job, unquote, grinned the Palatka paper mill and pulpwood worker and father of 5. Manuel Spencer is not a name pro you will recognize in the pro bass fishing world. He still stands in awe of the famed bass and pros. Spencer's kids ask Bill Dance and Roland Martin for autographs. Wow, Bill Dance was going at, I suppose. And Roland Martin, man, that guy has made a few casts. Holy smokes, both of those guys. A native of Hickory, North Carolina, Spencer learned bass fishing the simple way. He moved to the St. Johns area of North Florida in 1956. Until late last year, his bass boat was a 12-foot John boat. His fishing experience was taking the kids out twice a week. He'd never fished for money. His only competitive fishing experience was in local club contests after joining the Bass Capital Bassmasters. Quote, I didn't have any idea about winning, said Spencer after the January 28th to 30th event. I've always been able to catch a few bass, but I only hope to get my $250 entry fee back. $250 fee. Spencer had his money back with interest the first round of the 3-day fish-off, but had to play out his hand. He weighed in on opening day 9 largemouth bass that scored 30 pounds, 13 ounces. Yes, 9. So I'm assuming, I'm going to guess the limit was 10. But, boy, he didn't get his limit. So that's a little better than the 3-pound average, right? At the final weigh-in, Bill Ward, an Amsterdam, Missouri fishing tackle manufacturer, finished second with 30 pounds, 7 ounces. Doesn't say how many he had, though. In bass fishing history, few champions have ever led from start to finish, much less ever had it on the bag with a single, or had it in the bag with a single opening day catch. Rookie Manuel Spencer almost lapped the 250-man field. Wow, they had 250 boats in this tournament. I'm impressed. His final 3-day creel of 16 bass weighed 51 pounds, 14 ounces. So 16 bass. And he had 9 of them on day 1. Nice. Normally, that would be enough to make a good fish story. That's just the first chapter. Manuel Spencer's antics are many. Point 1. His success tactic was to jig. He used a 1/6 ounce lead head jig called Don's Pot Gut. That gives me, whoever Don was, certainly got an image of Don now. Don's Pot Gut is the name of the jig. It is an imitation of a minnow and usually tied on the end of a crappie fisherman's pole. Spencer used a long spinning rod with the open face reel taped near the butt. This added length allowed Spencer to drop the jig on 10-pound monofilament into holes in the floating grass and wild lettuce covering Rodman Pool. Oh, so he was up in Rodman. Aha. So he locked through into Rodman from the St. John's. I forgot about that because I've never been there. A man-made reservoir off the St. John's River that is reaching by boat through a lock system. So here's a couple more pictures. Well, let me finish. No, let me show you these pictures. Okay, this picture says anglers on Rodman Pool use an unusual bass fishing accessory, a pitchfork or garden rake, to make holes in the thick weed cover. Small jigs dropped into the openings can trigger a largemouth's appetite. So, okay, so there's the picture. Nope, there's the picture of him raking a hole. Now, obviously, in today's world, we don't do that because we just use 2-ounce sinkers to punch through all that stuff. All right, so then the bottom one here. Manuel Spencer used a crappie jig with a long spinning rod and 10-pound test line to yo-yo up enough bass to win the Florida Invitational the first day. His slow vertical presentation and the thick Rodman Pool cover was about the only tactic that worked on the cold front chilled largemouth. That is so cool. That is so cool. So there he is, jigging with that long rod. But that's never changed. That has never changed. It's cold. It's a January tournament, cold front chilled tournament. You would fish the exact same cover in a tournament this coming January. You would punch it with a 2-ounce sinker or something to that effect instead of raking it. But the fish location is the exact same in 1976 under cold front January conditions as it is in today's future time. Pretty cool. Imagine if somebody knew how to punch back then. They'd win all the January tournaments. Or a good portion of all the cold front ones anyways. Anyhow, okay. Rodman has appeared in the bass fishing news before. Larry Hill of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, won the 1973 Florida Invitational with a 3-day bag of 108 pounds, 2 ounces from the impoundment. Well, look at that. That guy's in the Century Club. How come we never hear about that? 108 pounds, 2 ounces Come on, Mark Zona. Let's just get with it. Let's add this guy to the Century Club. Let's not leave Larry Hill high and dry. God, Mark Zona, if I had your cell phone number, I would text you this right now. Okay, including a 1 day 60-pound plus string. Holy cow! Yeah, 60 pounds 1 day. Of course, that was probably at least 10 fish, I'm sure. The bass are still present in large numbers. Well, they're probably not present like in those numbers anymore. But fishing, turn to page 110. But fishing methods and lure presentations have had to change in Rodman. Hill caught his record catch on a big old crankbait. Oh, my dad still has some of those. With the heavy weed growth now everywhere in Rodman, floating plastic worms slipped over the grass or yo-yo style jigging are the most successful. Gosh, that's so cool. The big old crankbait. That's the cotton Cordell big old crankbait. And that is like basically your first square bill bait ever. I mean, it's not exactly how you want it built now, but very, very similar. I remember my dad getting those things back in the 70s. I mean, because my dad was all up to date on all this stuff, and I remember the first time he got some cotton Cordell big O's, and we threw the heck out of them things. Of course, we didn't know where to throw them up here in Minnesota. We just threw them. So you got a little bit of this and that on them. Anyhow, local bass anglers even carry garden rakes in their boats. They make holes in the floating vegetation, then fish in the openings. It is comparable to drilling holes in the ice and winter ice fishing up north. Yes, it would be. Although once you rake open a hole in the matted vegetation, I wonder how long you got to wait for a fish to come back around, because I mean, wouldn't you spook them out of there? Anyways, a cold front hit North Florida the final practice day. Funny, that never changes either. Cold fronts always seem to hit during tournament week. A cold front hit North Florida the final practice day. Temperatures dropped below freezing each night. Ooh, below freezing. That is a cold front. My gosh. The unseasonable late winter handicapped the bassmen from 29 states, from Connecticut to California. Wow. Man, they're drawing in the competitors. Water temperatures were some 10 degrees below normal for late January, and typical inshore spawning movement of bass had been delayed. It'll do it every time, even in 2021. That cold front comes in, and that will definitely put a halt on spawning. The bass weren't striking the lures, said Spencer. The cold water, mid-50s, had them seemingly dormant. That is, mid-50s in Florida is cold, for sure. I seen, a few years ago, I seen like 58 in Okeechobee. That was really unusual. Spinnerbaits, spoons, crankbaits, and other lures in the bassman's tackle boxes simply wouldn't work in the cold and thick stuff. The bass were under the heavy cover feeding, believed Spencer. You can pull up a landing net full of that lettuce, and all kinds of little tiny freshwater shrimp, bugs, and fish food will fall out in the boat. Same, that never changes. I mean, how many years later are we? 40-something years later? 40, I don't know, whatever, 45. Spencer said the bass took the small jig just after it dropped under the weed cover. That's an indication to me they were feeding on the little minnows and stuff in the weeds, he said. The first day a green and white jig produced, but Spencer didn't seem to believe that the color was really the difference. Green and white. Well, now you need, it's like black, blue, and black, blue with metal flake is like the color. That's like one of the number one colors in Florida for punching mats. Obviously, many of you know that, but okay, next day I caught some fish on yellow too, he explained. He recalled. Well, why wouldn't he keep using green and white? Because his fishing really fell off the next 2 days. Anyways, Spencer was over 5 or 6 feet of water most of the time and dropped the bait at rod's length into holes in the grass and around standing timber. He did discover that the jig had to be yo-yoed, apparently, in front of the largemouth's nose. During one 10 to 15 minute stretch about noon on the second day, Spencer caught 6 bass, totaling 18 pounds 6 ounces, in a 10-yard section of real estate. I jigged one small area 8 or 10 times, often before getting a hit. I'm sure it was after I dropped a jig right on their nose that they would finally take it, he commented. That's something you hear a guy say even today under those conditions. Don's pot gut jig is designed for speckled perch, which is crappie in Florida, fishing by a manufacturer in the little town of Goldenrod, Florida. The hook shank is coated with lead, and the nylon feathers give the miniature bait the appearance of a pot-gutted minnow. The 1/6 ounce version holds about a number 2 size hook. Man, imagine trying to wrestle a 6-pound bass with a little tiny crappie jig in that kind of cover. That would be excitement. Spencer revealed the jig and yo-yo system was fairly new to him for taking largemouth bass. Several locals had gotten on to it a couple of months earlier, and other fishermen from the Placa area used it. He told a crowd of about 500 at the Shell Harbor weigh-in finals. I'd really not planned to fish in Rodman, related Spencer, up until the cold front hit. I planned to fish in the Murphy's Creek area, but I figured the water in Rodman would be a little warmer and the bass might be more active. Then when I saw how slow the bass were acting because of the cold, I decided to stick with the slow jigging method. Spencer believed it was the presentation of the lure rather than the color or particular type of jig. He used another style earlier in practice with similar success. Spencer's system reminds tournament trail fans of D. Thomas' earlier success in the 1975 Arkansas Invitational on cold, lock-jawed bull shoals bass. There, too, it was a slow flipping technique that worked for the Californian. That's like the infancy of flipping right there. By letting out an 8 to 10 foot section or less of line from the rod tip, Spencer would reach or drop into spots at the end of his 6.5 foot spinning rod. 6.5 foot is not a long rod in today's standards, by no means. With either system, there is no casting involved. The vertical type presentation is becoming more accepted by bassmen as tournament results prove its worth. Tournament pros have learned that they can work their fish a lot closer than some might suspect. Certainly a key in this under the boat presentation is either adequate cover for the bass to lodge inside or stained off-color water to mask the angler's approach and presence. Spencer expressed confidence that the system also would work under warmer conditions even when the bass are bedding. If used for spawning bass, it would have to be applied in deeper water or water stained enough to camouflage the boat and its occupants, according to the Florida bass winner. Just because the bait is the mini size, don't be misled into judging it a technique for only bank runner size bass. Spencer put a 7-pound 4-ounce heavyweight in the boat with it the first round in Rodman. And that's true, very true, because a lot of times they're using those little tiny craw imitations, little tiny creatures. They're not using the full creatures when they're punching those mats in today's world. And they catch lots of nice bass on them things. And they're not big baits. Okay, runner-up Bill Ward, who is general manager for Bassmaster Lures, discovered an interesting pattern in Florida. He learned that every time they opened the gates at the Rodman Lock, the bass would hit. So that's pretty cool. So the question is, was he on the Rodman side or the downstream side? I would guess the downstream side. But before we get into that, there was one more picture over here, back on this page, and a caption. So here's a man by the name of Connie Baker, a Rock Hill, South Carolina dentist. He picked the right moment to extract this 9-pound, 5-ounce largemouth, the biggest bass of his angling career. So there's Connie Baker with a niner. There he is. Now just read the rest of this caption. It topped the Lunker scoreboard in the $50,000 Florida Bass Invitational Bass Tournament on the St. Johns River near Moynagh, Florida, January 20th to 30th. Baker nailed the heavyweight on a rod and reel borrowed from his wife, Sylvia. He borrowed it from his wife. How many guys are borrowing their wife's fishing gear to fish the Bass Pro Tour these days, or the Bassmaster Elites? That's great. I love it. Her light tackle outfit was spooled with 8-pound test monofilament, explained Baker. The lighter line made the difference in the clear water of Rodman Reservoir and with its spooky bass. Baker earned a $3,775 Ranger bass boat as the Florida Lunker champion. Interesting enough, Dr. Baker pulled out only one other bass in the 3-day contest, a 1-pound, 7-ounce largemouth. He was working a weed bed with a 7¼ black Butch Harris plastic worm with a small split shot clamped on the line when the big strike came. Baker's previous career high was an 8.5-pounder taken from South Carolina's Lake Wiley, or Lake Y. It says Wyle. So is there a Lake Weil, or do they mean Lake Wiley? Which I believe is, I've never been to Lake Wiley. I believe that's South Carolina. But yeah, there it is. Good job, Connie, with that one. So now we're following up with Bill Ward's runner-up deal here. So this is the last page. Interesting. Ward positioned his boat along the cuts inside the canal leading into the Rodman Reservoir. He fished his company's purple or black slinky worm in the cuts. The pattern was that the suction from the open lock, about 2 miles distance, pulled water and bait fish, etc., through the small openings. The fish were holding around the cuts and turned on when the food was suddenly chummed up by the locking system current. So I still don't get it. Is that upstream or downstream of the lock? Rodman Pool produced a majority of the 900 bass caught. The 1,609 pounds, 14 ounces was 50% under the 1975 poundage of when 200 anglers fished. The Gin Clear Rodman was reported a few degrees warmer than the St. Johns River and its surrounding lake system of Lake George and Crescent. Spencer's payoff included $9,000 cash and a $5,000 Ranger bass rig for first place. $5,000 for a bass boat. Oh my God, it's just sweet. The first bass boat I ever bought was a 1990 Stratos with a 150, and I think it was like about 20 grand for that package. Anyways, and then he also got a bonus $850 for the 7-pound, 4-ounce daily big bass. He had a $3,775 big bass lunker award, a Ranger boat in tow too until the final moments of the tournament. Oh, so so this Connie guy was sandbagging his 9-pounder the last day, and he totally sandbagged the Manuel Spencer here. So those things still happen, I'm sure that still happens. Billy Westmoreland, mouse, love it, who has owned this Florida tournament for 2 years, started slow, rebounded to nail one of the 10 bass limits caught, but never really got into the hunt. The Salina, Tennessee veteran finished 7th with 24 pounds, 15 ounces. The other 10 bass creel was bagged by pro Billy Primos, a Jackson, Mississippi restaurant operator who ranked 6th with 26 pounds 3 ounces. Bo Dowden, that's a guy I competed against when I first started back in the late 90s, mid to late 90s. He was still around. A Nacogdoches, Louisiana marine dealer claimed 4th with 27 pounds 4 ounces. Bill Dance, the 1974 Bass Angler of the Year, finished 5th with 26.6. Jack Haynes of Rain, Louisiana, the 1975 winner of the year-end Bassmasters Classic, ranked 9th with 24 pounds 2 ounces in the strong field of top-ranked bass pros. 2 notable named pros finished out of the top 50 standings. Oh no. Roland Martin, 1975's leading point scorer and winner of 4 Bass Angler of the Year titles, and former Florida champion Tom Mann had trouble with the chilled lockjaw largemouths. Even Manuel Spencer had frustrations. They didn't erase the rookie's big payday, but a closer finish might have resulted in Spencer telling a most unusual one that got away story. On the final afternoon, Spencer had 2 bass in the live well when a television camera boat pulled up after several minutes of dull, fishless action. I don't think you'd ever hear the media say that anymore. I challenge you, Mark Zona, right now. When I challenge you, when things are getting slow on the live stream broadcast, I want you to make a reference to how the action is dull and fishless. All right, Spencer offered. Okay, let me start over. After several minutes of dull, fishless action, Spencer offered to catch one of the fish again. Okay. He tied on a 2-pound largemouth for the camera. His knot broke, and the bass escaped. Why haven't I heard this story? Oh my God. Oh my God. Of course, that's totally reminiscent of Jim Bitter's reenacting the measurement of the 12-incher, and then the fish jumps out of the boat into the James River, I think it was. Or was it Potomac River? I don't know. One of them rivers, and I think it was the James. And Jim Bitter ended up losing by ounces. Oh my God. So, oh my God. Yeah, there's another one for you, Mark Zona. Or in these other crews. You know, it's like, JT, I want ask a guy, hey, tell the guy, hey, we didn't get the camera quite right on that one. Could you tie that fish on again and reenact the catching of it? Oh my God, that's just so classic, man. Later, Spencer missed his lockout time at the Rodman Locks. Oh my God, who doesn't do that? That still happens. Oh my God. And suffered a late penalty at the check-in. He lost another 10 ounces off the 3-pound largemouth that he had managed to bring home. But as it turned out, Manuel Spencer could have stayed home in bed Thursday and Friday and just dropped around for the final weigh-in to pick up his first cast for cash payoff of $14,850. Also, Spencer is the first Florida angler to win on the home waters. Thank you, Bob Cobb. This was written by Bob Cobb, the old TV director of the show. Cool. Those are cool times. Yeah, so let's see who else was in here. I'll read off let's see. Oh my God, Pat Jeffries was in this tournament. I know him. I know Pat Jeffries is the guy that fishes in Minnesota tournaments. He used to a lot, and then he's more... I still see him every year up at the Fort Francis Canadian Bass tournament with his tournament partner, Kurt Johnson. Pat Jeffries, 11th place. 10 fish, 20 pounds, 6 ounces. Congratulations, Pat. I gotta remember to make a note of that. So we got Manuel Spencer, Bill Ward, Roger Moore. You mean James Bond got 3rd place? Bo Dowden, Bill Dance, Billy Primos, Billy Westmoreland, Don Norton, Jack Haynes, Jimmy Houston, 10th place. Jimmy, I don't even want to try to imitate his laugh. Pat Jeffries, nice Pat. Gosh, humble man. I never knew this. Never knew he fished Bassmaster tournament. Tommy Martin, that guy's Superman. By the way, Tommy Martin was the first draw I ever had. It was my first Bassmaster Invitational in 1995, Pine Bluff, Arkansas, on the Arkansas River. And back then it was a pro draw. Each pro, you're paired with another pro, and then you decided whose boat you took and all that. So I draw Tommy Martin, and we didn't catch much. It was a tough tournament. It was fun to fish with him. Next place, Jimmy Harris, Greg Ward, Jerry Roughton, Forrest Wood, 17th place, founder of Range of Bass Boats, Forrest Wood, James Bryce, Bobby Wilson, Mike Moore, George Hoffman, Glenn Wills, Bill Bearden, Jim Bryan, Gary Wade, Dan Muckler, Willard Moore, Bill Vanderford, Jimmy Breyer, Gary Wade. Better say it. Huh? Don Muckler, Willard Moore, Bill Vanderford. Oh, I lost a place. Jimmy Marshaw. Jimmy Marshaw, Turney Edwards, Ray Breckenridge, Ernest Neal, Brian Thrift, Jack Patterson, Arnold Libby, Al Lindner, 35th. Yeah, all right, Al. 9 fish for 14.3. Good job, Al. 35th. And there was like 200 and some entrants, so pretty awesome, Al. Awesome. Okay, that's it. There you go. Hope you're well into a deep slumber by now. Over.